The credit you're probably going to get is going to happen when you die, not when you're alive. Are you okay with that? Can you imagine, like, hey, the biggest credit you're ever going to get is when you die? Mm-hmm. And what kind of recognition is that? Well, that's the best kind of recognition. Yeah. You want to do that? Well, no, I want the credit now. Doesn't work that way. Those guys, comes afterwards. Criticism when you're alive, credit after you die. The biggest factor was the following. I noticed any of the guys that ever did anything really, really big, and I said this to Tom Brady when I was talking to him at the Vault 2 months ago. One, they've experienced unconditional love from one person at least. This is a person that no matter what you do wrong, this person's okay with loving you. Mom, I'm in jail. You're bailing me out. But I love you. I can't believe you're here. Wait a minute. I screwed up. This is my fault. I'm making your life help, and you still love me like this? Damn, this is awesome.
Right.
This exists, unconditional love. Number 2 is a person you loved that you really, really wanted to win over that betrayed you and backstabbed you. Because no matter what you do, no matter how much money you make, you'll never win them over. No matter how many six-packs, how many houses you buy, how many cars you have, how many subscribers you have, you're never going to get there saying, hey, good job. You're just not going to get it from them.
Right.
So hardcore pain. But a lot of people have those too. Then you need the last one. And the last one to me is choosing your enemies wisely. Brady, he had his own enemies over his career. Jordan has had his own enemies. Musk has a very unique enemy that's been driving him for 40 years, not just 10 years. Because some enemies drives you for 6 months, some it's a month, some it's 30 seconds. They cut you off, want to get back at them. But if you're able to choose the right enemy, it brings out a side of you that's getting you to tolerate pain in ways others are not willing to tolerate. That'll help you compete at the highest level. So once I saw this format and I saw which people were the ones that were winning at the highest level and which ones weren't, the ones that typically won had the first, the second, and they chose their enemies wisely, and we put the business plan structure for them, and they were on fire. As you're moving up, you have to be very careful to filter out flattery.
Right.
Because flattery is actually a terrible thing. The whole concept with Marcus Aurelius, who's sitting there having a slave right behind him telling him, you're not as important as you think you are. You're not as important as you think you are. You need people like that in your life. But no, I agree. I agree the people to process with. The insurance company, the person that I...
I want to say Marcus Aurelius. You've read Meditations, I'm sure.
Of course.
Marcus Aurelius is fascinating to me, too, because he's an example. To me, Stoicism is almost practiced Christianity in the absence of grace. It's about doing the right thing, not for earthly riches, right, but for doing the right thing's sake. But at the end of the day, you do it and you die. And we obviously believe in eternal salvation, and there's a purpose as to why you're also doing the right thing, why you're following that prescription. But Marcus Aurelius was certainly, by all accounts, a good man, and then became addicted to opiates. He didn't know. He said you mustn't consume strong drink. Like, he really believed in being disciplined, but that's bad advice. Someone going, here's a tincture. It'll make you feel better. And you read his later writings and you see this is a guy who didn't know he became addicted to painkillers. So great people actively doing good things can still make mistakes. He's one of my most, to me, fascinating figures in history, and wonderful study.
Yeah, so that takes it to a whole different angle as well, where almost anybody that does anything very big that we admire, they're complicated people. They're not simple, boom, in a box. Well, they're not like that. They're complicated people. It takes a complicated person to tolerate the amount of pain and responsibility that comes with it, knowing the credit you're probably going to get is going to happen when you die, not when you're alive. Are you okay with that? Can you imagine, like, hey, the biggest credit you're ever going to get is when you die? And what kind of recognition is that? Well, that's the best kind of recognition.
Yeah.
You want to do that? Well, no, I want the credit now. Doesn't work that way. Those guys, comes afterwards. Criticism when you're alive, credit after you die.
Watch Louder with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.